Hello, welcome back. We are together for our fourth tutorial into this journey into Ashtanga Yoga. And so far we have covered the fundamental practice. So that is the Sun Salutation, Surya Namaskar A, version B, Surya Namaskar B. The 6 fundamental postures, the standing posture that will come again into second series as well. And they're really helping to create a solid ground to stabilize the hips and the legs and to support the rest of the practice. And then the closing breathing postures at the end. Hopefully by now you're a little bit more familiar with the way to move in and out of the postures and with the memorizing of the sequence of these postures. So we're going to add today 2 more. And these 2 poses that we're adding are a little bit out of place in the sequence as they were originally taught at the end of primary series and then at that point put back into the place that we have them today. These are 2 balancing positions. So we're going to learn how to stand on one leg and how to do things while we stand on one leg. What's important for this? To find a good balance. So coming to standing position. The first of these 2 poses is called Utthita Hasta Parangustasana. Always we start with the right side first. And to start this pose, I just want to have you feeling how to lift your leg. So the lifting of the leg is something that, as we saw in Surya Namaskar B, comes from engaging the core muscles and the hip flexors. So you connect into this part of the body, where we also work with the bandhas, to create the movement of lifting. And so we have the action of lifting, but we also need to hold the lift. And this is a different muscular capacity or activity that we develop by doing. It's a sort of stamina of the muscles. So just take your right knee into the chest and hold it in with 2 hands. Here we don't really engage much of these muscles, the hip flexors. We're more getting into the flexibility, and we focus more on lengthening this side of the body, also very important. So the standing leg should be well grounded and very strong, the foot well grounded, the weight well distributed on the foot. And we're standing on just one leg, finding the center and finding a sense of being at ease onto one leg. Once you're able to do that, then hold the foot up, the knee up, and just keep on lengthening through the standing leg and at the same time contracting the hip flexors and the psoas muscles on the right side to hold your knee up. Then release it and we do the same thing on the other side. So a couple of times just to feel this movement. And so we're not lifting the whole hip, we're not moving the body, we're just isolating very slowly the movement of the core muscles and the hip flexors. And then bring it up, hold it in with your hands, create a little bit of space by pulling the knee towards the chest. And sometimes you will fall out of balance, that's okay. A lot of the balancing has got to do with where your attention is. So bringing the attention into the core of the body will help you stabilizing. Lengthen. Make the right side long, straight, and well grounded. And then let go of your hand and keep the knee up towards the chest. Feeling the different action. One side is lengthening and grounding. The other side is contracting and holding. And then release. Good. Now we're going to do the simple version of the pose, holding the knee. So the left hand comes to the waist. I'm holding the waist, and I'm holding it really, not just hanging the hand there. Holding the waist as some of the hip flexors and the core muscles will run through this part of the body. So activating with the touch can actually help engaging that core support. And then as I inhale, I bring up my right knee and holding it with the right hand. Stay here for 5 breaths. Take a deep breath in. And then open the hip to the side. So your knee moves out to the side. At the same time, your head turns in the opposite direction. Do this a couple of times to synchronize the movement of the knee and the head. Inhale to the center and exhale to the side. Inhale, exhale. And stay here for a few breaths. As you stay here, notice what the left side of the body is doing, lengthening, your shoulders open, the chest lifted. And then inhale, bring the leg back to the center. As you exhale, stretch the leg and bring both hands to the floor. To the waist. Breathe here, shoulders back, rise the chest. Again, find those muscles that are holding the leg up. And then exhale, slowly release the head, leg down. Keep the right hand at the waist. We do the same with the left side. Inhale, take the left knee into the chest. Hold it here. 5 deep breaths. To keep your balance steady, you want to also gaze in a fixed point. Don't look around with your eyes, that will compromise the balance. You can look at the tip of your nose or just look at the floor in front of you so the gaze is down, quiet. Take a deep breath in. As you exhale, open the leg and turn the head. Do that a few times. Inhale back to center. Exhale, open to the side. Inhale back to center. Exhale, open to the side and stay. Lift the chest, the shoulders rolling both sides back. Inhale, bring the knee back to center, the head in the middle. And then let go of the knee, stretch your leg, point your toes, shoulders rolling back. Stay here for a few breaths. Feeling how you're holding the leg from the core muscles. And exhale, release. This is the simple version of Utthita Hasta Parangustasana. Final version, instead of holding the knee, we'll have you holding the big toe. So whenever you're ready to move a little deeper in the pose, when the balance is a little more steady, hold the big toe and start to stretch your leg. So it might be that your leg only stretches a little bit up to here. But again, remember that you're not following down with the leg. You want to keep that engagement of lengthening through the left side and lifting and holding through the right side. And then I get my foot, my big toe, which I always hold with 2 fingers, and stretch the leg a little bit forward. I also pull back with my shoulder here. So there's a double action. The leg is lifting, the foot is pushing that way, and my shoulder is pushing back this way. If I have the space, I stretch the leg completely, and that's where I can start to come forward for the final pose. Eventually it's 5 breaths here, and then inhale up. Exhale, I open to the side and turn the head in the opposite direction for 5 breaths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, turning back to center. Exhale, lowering and touching. Inhale, up. I straighten my legs here fully before letting go and holding the waist for 5 breaths. Point the toes and then release. Same on the left side. So again, once we have the balance on the knee, we can move towards catching the big toe and beginning to stretch the leg. It can look like this, or a little bit straighter, or full straight. When I'm full straight again, look for the space to bring the shoulders back, stretching the back of the leg fully. And from here, bending the elbow, pulling the shoulder back, I come forward. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale. Exhale. Here's a real rotation. So I'm not lifting the hip out to the side. I'm keeping my hips level. And by keeping the hips level, here's the rotation, outer rotation of the hip joint. And then from here, keeping the arm straight and pulling the shoulder back, turning the head. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, I lower. Inhale, I rise again. Pulling my shoulders all the way back before I let go of the foot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. Okay. So remember, balancing, there's a lot of challenging things coming up when we're standing on one leg. Take the time. Knee first, big toe, bent leg, and then straight leg. Okay? This is the first of the 2 balancing position. The second one is the first half lotus of the series, Adha Baddha Padmottanasana. And again, we're not fully ready for going into half lotus at this point of the sequence. So be careful, be cautious, and be very connected to the sensations on your knees, as we don't want to blow the knees so early in the practice. The half lotus is again as a hip rotation. We saw it on the sitting poses. And the pose here looks like, I'm just going to show you the full pose first. Half lotus, right foot first. I'm holding the foot from behind the back. And this is the inhalation, first movement. Second movement, I lean forward, place the hand on the floor, and let go completely on my chest and head. I stay here for 5 breaths. And then inhale, just the head and chest up. Exhale, I stay. And then slowly inhale, come up with control, and then release the foot. Same applies for the left side. I bring my knee up, the foot into half a lotus, and bind from behind the back. So what are the options here? If I can come into lotus, my foot comes up and I don't reach. I always try to reach because things change on a daily basis. So I might be able to reach it one day. And if I don't try every time, I will never know. But if I don't reach, I can stay up here, hold my elbow behind, and work on letting this part relax and open a bit more. Or if I feel stable enough on one leg, I can slowly bend forward. I notice that I keep in my standing leg bend and go down with 2 hands, so have a bit more stability. And do the pose with 2 hands on the floor and the foot is in half a lotus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale, I lift the chest and the head. Exhale, I stay. And on the inhalation, slowly with control, keeping my standing leg a little back, I come up. And then again, slowly I let go, release the knee. If I cannot make the full lotus because I feel the knee, then the second best option is to bring the foot flex just on top of the knee. So we're creating this 90 degrees kind of crossing in between the legs. And at this point, what I'm doing is I work on the hip, protecting the knee. The knee is protected by keeping the foot flex. And the knee at the hip is rotating and getting a little more stretch because I'm bending on the standing leg. So as I bend, I slight tilt the forward, the tilt in the pelvis forward. Sit bones moving back, pubic bone moving back, and I feel the stretch. Could be in the gluteus, could be in the hip, depending on where the tightness is. And I can just stay here for 5 breaths. Okay? You can also do a combination of the poses, or maybe one side will be a little more sensitive than the other. Important is that you feel how the knee is doing, what the feedback or the sensations of the knees are, and decide what is better to do. It can be this, it can be this, and then from here bring the foot a little bit further up, and then try to bind, and maybe go down with both hands. Okay? When we come up from this pose, there's an extra breath, you might have noticed, because when we're bending forward, particularly with the foot pressing inside the belly and staying so close down, there's a lot of pressure and blood moving towards the head. So if I come up too quickly, and generally I come up without breathing deeply, I can get a little bit dizzy and spinning. It's very common when I come out of this pose that I feel a bit spaced out. So that extra breath helps you to not feel so dizzy when you come up. Make sure that you keep doing this extra breath of inhaling, lengthening, exhale, staying, Exhale completely to empty. And when you come up, do it not from the head. So don't come up from the head first. The head is last, so you can keep the chin slightly down and richly come up from the legs. And then slowly release. When you get into the lotus, the last thing I want to say is close the knee first. Remember, it's a movement from the hip that you want to enter the lotus from, rather than pushing the foot and pulling it so that it goes into the knee. Yeah? So bring the knee up to close it, rotate the hip, and take your foot into the groin. When you go down, don't push the knee down. Just let it be wherever it is naturally. Avoid the pushing, as you might, again, feel it too soon, too quickly into the knee. And if you need some extra time, the modification, keeping the hands at the waist so that you get a good straight training for the balancing here, is very beneficial to prepare for the half a lotus pose. Good. This was it for today. So your practice for these coming days will have Surya Namaskar A 5 times, Surya Namaskar B 3 times, the 6 fundamental postures, the 2 balancing positions that we just covered, and then coming into sitting for the last few breathing postures. Enjoy it, keep practicing, make sure your routine is steady and regular, and we'll see you again soon. Namaste.